live on a Saturday evening, last day of January. We got no football this weekend unless you count the Pro Bowl, but it's kind of a joke at this point, the Pro Bowl, unfortunately.
Nope. Don't count it.
Shedeur Sanders, Pro Bowler. They need to do something there. I don't know why they just don't because I'm pretty sure under Shedeur Sanders' profile, it's going to say he's a Pro Bowler. I don't know why they don't just have the voting and say okay, you guys are the all-stars of Pro Bowlers, and then just invite whoever you want to the Pro Bowl games, but they don't have to be Pro Bowlers, because I understand Shedeur Sanders has a lot of name value and maybe people tune in for him, but he shouldn't be a Pro Bowler. That shouldn't be on his record. So
I think I remember reading about rookie contracts and stuff, and I feel like Pro Bowl appearances are big incentives for, and it could be only first rounders, but I remember kind of reading through what the contracts were based on where they get drafted. And Pro Bowl appearances matters a lot.
Yeah, it's $500,000, million sometimes. It's kind of crazy. So yeah, it's I don't know. They got to do something, and football is such a weird thing. Where it's at least NBA. And I know NBA fans kind of hate the NBA All-Star Game, but at least you can kind of half play basketball and have a lot of fun with it. You can't half play football, which is why they they've changed to flag football, because it's you can't just have people half-assing it out there and tackling and stuff. So baseball All-Star Game still going strong. Baseball All-Star Game, I think they changed it a while back, but they used to actually have it that the winner would, whatever league, National or American League wins, is gets home field during the World Series. So it's actually something to play for. Yeah, I mean, it's one more game in baseball than it's not like football where you play one game, you play a 7-game series, so it usually comes out to just one more.
But you start there though, right?
Yep.
Which is big.
Yeah. And finally caught a live stream. Love the channel, been set for a while. Got a lot of sleepers from Mr. Berlin. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, just put out a deep Dynasty stash sleeper video. We go, like I said, we go very, very deep. And I see other channels, and they put out sleeper or stash stuff, and all the guys they list, it's just all these guys are rostered, Gunnar Helm and Malik Willis. It's they're not on any of my waiver wires. So try to go pretty deep, practice squad players and all that. So appreciate you. And hopefully you can join us live more for some live ones. We're going to extend it during once the Super Bowl passes or happens. We're going to be Wednesday evening, Saturday morning, and Sunday evening. And I just saw that Sleeper put rookies into the database, so we can start doing some rookie mocks live on the channel. So hopefully you guys can join us for that. It's always a lot of fun. Just kind of see the ups and downs. Kevin's here. What's up, Kevin? How high on Love are you all as a prospect? Jeremiah Love, clearly the 101, obviously, but in comparison to Genty, Hampton, Henderson's prospects. Yeah. I think personally I would have him as a prospect behind Genty pretty comfortably. And I would put him there with Hampton, and I put him slightly above Henderson. My only concern with Henderson, and it kind of played out this year, I loved him as a player. My only concern was how much work he was going to get. And I also did think that he was the type of player that could do a lot with a little bit. And he kind of did that this year, kind of. I think he can be more efficient and stuff, and maybe that will come next year. So I think I would have him kind of slightly ahead of Hampton, but not too far ahead of him. And then behind Genty, behind Bijan, behind Gibbs even, I think at that point, because I was pretty excited about about Gibbs there. So yeah, clear 101, but he might not be as easy of a lock as like a Genty was. With I think there was no question with Genty. I think you can slightly question it with maybe a guy like Mendoza, but I know a lot of people are kind of down on quarterbacks overall, and I get it. Last season, you got Manungai, Gadsden, and Pat Bryant from this channel. Nice. That's a good haul. I'm glad we helped you there. I think it's probably one of our best things we put out is just trying to find these kind of like these deep stashes and stuff. So Pete is here. We are doing a team review for Pete. So we're going to hop into that. And actually, we can just kind of start hopping into that now. If anyone's interested in a team review, if there is a cost behind it, but it's pretty affordable, join our Discord. And there's like a team review section. You kind of just message there, and I'll message you privately. Also, join our Discord if you want to get into a startup league with us. We're going to try and put together. I want to get 2 more this offseason. I think that would be good. Have 5 total, and then kind of go from there. See if that's too much, and we kind of just hold it at 5. You know, I would take advantage of it now because I don't know if we're going to do new startups every single year. As enticing as it is to do a new startup, because startup drafts are fun. So. But yeah, join our Discord, and we're gonna start setting those up after the Super Bowl. So we got like I said, we got Pete's league here. It's a just a little background. It's a 10-team start 12 best ball league. So similar starting rosters to a 12-team start 10, but it is best ball. There's 2 super flex spots on top of a quarterback. So three quarterbacks can be started each and every week. It's a 1-point tight end. It's a PPR 1-point tight end premium. So tight ends are getting 2 points per reception. And Pete, if I get any of this wrong, please let me know. And then wide receivers are getting 1.5, whereas running backs are getting just 1. And I guess quarterbacks if they happen to catch it. So that is the layout there. And as always, we like to kind of start by showing the WAR tool or the WARP. I've seen it called WARP, similar to what baseball WAR is, kind of values. How valuable is this player in relation to like a replacement level player in your league? And it kind of takes your league settings and shows you it, just to give you guys a little, like, as you can see here, you can see this is just from last year, by the way. Pretty intertwined from last year. Quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, all kind of relatively right there, with tight ends coming down below. This does have kicker and defenses down there as well. But you'll see it change. Like if I change the league here to let's just say one of our listener leagues, you'll see kind of the warp change with it depending on that league setting. So. And you can see how it changes it a little bit. Wide receivers are pretty significantly further down here. That's because we don't have 1.5 reception for receivers, and Pete's league does. So I'll get that back up for Pete's league. So showing you the warp here. Again, this is just strictly from last year. And you can see, the purple line is the receivers, the blue line is the quarterbacks, and the red line is the running backs. And they're very close together there with kind of quarterbacks. Actually, I was actually a little bit surprised, but then again, quarterbacks kind of played poorly last year, right? So they are kind of behind the running backs and wide receivers. And real quick before I let you get your thoughts in there, Brian, I did pull up because this only shows, again, 2025. I pulled up the multi-year warp for this, and this shows from 2019 to 2025. And wide receivers and quarterbacks are like significantly ahead of tight ends and running backs, which I kind of imagine they would be, but it's just any given year, running backs could be awesome and quarterbacks could suck, and it kind of evens it out a little bit. So thoughts on the league a little bit. It is a best ball, so I know you have a little bit more experience with the best ball.
Yeah, just a little. It's definitely interesting, the settings and everything, right? Double super flex, and yeah, the tight end premium is obviously becoming a lot more common. Mm-hmm. But kickers and defense, also in a best ball format. So we definitely have some questions for Pete as far as like how those two positions specifically are kind of treated within the league, because that can kind of dictate some things. But yeah, I like that you pulled up that that multi-year war tool as opposed to just last year. So, and maybe we can flip that to our advantage a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we can. So, and by the way, each little dot here shows a player. And you guys can go to this website, Dynasty Daddy. It's free. You can sign up. It's an awesome website. We'll show you some of the other features it has here. It has a trade calculator, but what I like about it is it puts in your specific league settings. Still uses like keep trade cut rankings. I think you can change which rankings you want, but it takes into account your league settings, which is so important when evaluating trades because no league is the same. Just a quick note here. Puka was the most valuable player, followed by McBride and then McCaffrey. As expected there. So going to the power rankings here, and just checking out Pete's roster. Quarterback is Drake May, which is, for some people, the QB1 was the QB2 in this league. Cam Ward, and then Daniel Jones, Jacoby Brissett, Joe Milton, Geno Smith, all the way down there. It's a little bit. I don't know if Geno Smith, should he really be under Joe Milton? I don't know, but he's all the way down there. And Carson Wentz. It's a solid quarterback room. Obviously, it's top heavy with May. Ward should improve, and then you got some question marks here. But you could have 4 starters next year in May, Ward, Jones, and Brissett. So I think that's nice. If that actually plays out to where you do have those 4 starters, that's going to be pretty nice for you, in my opinion. But we can definitely afford to add to that room. And then running backs, obviously, we have McCaffrey, Tootin, Warren, Gainwell, Mason, Mixon, Brian Robinson, Aaron Jones, Steve Mercado, Cleo Mullins. What do you think of the running back room?
Yeah, I mean, so we're going to have to look at this a little differently than we normally do, right? Because best ball really favors just having a lot of depth, right? Some positions more than others, but definitely your running backs, and I feel like your tight ends also. I mean, it really does come into play. I feel like the best ball format, even though it is, you could start up to 3 quarterbacks, I feel like it kind of devalues them a little bit.
I would agree.
But
because you're always going to start 3 quarterbacks if you can. Sorry to interrupt you, but when you can start 3 quarterbacks, you're always going to do that, right? And it might not be the best choice, but you're always going to do that. But in best ball, you're just, you're whoever's the best, essentially. So I agree there.
Yeah, and it definitely helps the tight end, because look at tight ends 4 through 12, or I guess 4 through 10 in this league on any given week, and it's going to be guys who scored touchdowns, basically. So it's always good to have a bunch of those, which Pete obviously does. But yeah, the running backs specifically, it'd be really nice if you had Joe Mixon, but your guys are starting to age / they don't necessarily have a primary role. So that could kind of dictate a little bit what Pete feels like he should be, the direction he feels like he should be moving in general.
He says, I found having a deep QB room fill the 2 super flex spots, but equally my tight end depth got the start. Yeah, that would make sense because you didn't have a whole lot of, you finished 3rd in this league, mostly because you had the best tight end and he was by far the best tight end. You had the best running back and then you had the second best quarterback. Those guys really were top heavy, but yeah, you didn't have a whole lot of depth. I'm sure Warren and Gainwell were starting a lot. And then, a lot of your tight ends would pop in a Darren Waller, a Gadsden, a Ferguson on his big game. So that makes sense for sure. receivers, which is an area he wants to improve in, and he should, because I do think receivers are probably maybe slightly under quarterbacks, or like just as valuable as quarterbacks. Maybe like the top 7 receivers and top 7 quarterbacks are like pretty close in value, in my opinion. To me, it's quarterbacks, receivers are kind of neck and neck, and then a step down, and then like running backs and tight ends. So I think we do want to build a team with wide receivers and quarterbacks. So you got some decent, you got some good ones. Obviously, Justin Jefferson had a down year, but we're not super worried about him in the future. Zay Flowers had a really good year, actually, a little bit inflated by week 18, but still a wide receiver, a low end wide receiver 2 or top 18 guy. I think he finishes like wide receiver 7, which I was really surprised about. But he had a 28-point week 18, which obviously helps. Devontae Adams was awesome. A little bit. We got some questions here about in the future, but I don't think anyone's going to be shocked if Stafford comes back that Adams catches another 10 touchdowns next year or something. Jacoby Myers, we like, then some dart throws down here. I don't, some of these guys like, Jalen Royals, I don't understand, like, how are you worth a 0? I don't think you could be worth a 0, but I don't understand that. But I kind of like, holding on to guys like Jalen Royals and stuff and seeing what we got. We'll see what Ridley comes back as. And then, your tight ends were kind of your bread and butter here with McBride, Gadsden, Hawkinson, Ferguson, Helm, Walker, even Fant. Again, don't agree with like the zeros. Like Elijah Higgins, I just double checked. He had like a 7-catch 90. He had a 7-catch 91-yard game. That definitely got into your lineup in week 17. That could have helped you made it to the championship potentially. 7 for 91. Elijah Higgins, like, why is he worth a 0? Anyways, I'll stop focusing on that. Even like Greg Dulcich came on with the Dolphins, Komet, Mitchell Evans, a very nice tight end room there. So we'll start off with, Pete, the one thing one of the 2 or a couple things he messaged me was basically said that he wants to try and get, trade his tight end, one of his tight ends for a receiver, or, try to take advantage of his depth at tight end. And we were kind of talking beforehand, and we kind of feel like Gadsden's really the only one you can take advantage of there, because McBride's maybe the most valuable piece in this league. And I think you could argue he is, because the difference between him and tight end 2 is so drastic, although maybe it won't be next year with Bowers. So like you would really I don't even know. I don't know. Would you say like Trey McBride straight up for Puka? Like, I think I would take Trey McBride in this league potentially. Maybe that's stupid, but just like the difference in tight end 1 and tight end 3 is way more drastic than wide receiver 1, wide receiver 3. I don't know. It's close enough to debate it, right? I would think.
Yeah. I mean, I think I would just hold McBride like straight up. But again, the nice thing about best ball format in general, right? Like the depth is so much more important. And like if you're trading off like a top tier guy like Trey McBride, I guess we should ask Pete, how long has this league been running for? And has it been like the same guys basically the whole time? I'd be kind of curious about that.
I would guess it's going into year 2 or 3, just based on how like there's no like stud team and terrible team. That would be my guess, but yeah. But anyways, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say I'm just wondering like how much people are like really like paying attention. Oh, first year was last year. Yeah. So it'd be kind of curious like to really see how much attention people are playing. Like if you can get, like 3, like what you would consider startable guys, like if you actually had to set a roster, even if they're like slightly lower end players for McBride, that's something you might want to think about. Because, if 2 of those guys are coming in for you each week and replacing, that wide receiver 3, like he mentions that it's a 3 wide receiver league. Like it could make sense, right? But the tricky part is, you got to have a player that's replacing not only like your lowest scoring guy, but you need guys with like ceilings too.
Yeah.
As far as like any given week, like even guys, like Christian Watson or Alec Pierce, it's nice that he has Zay Flowers on his team, even though Zay didn't exactly do what I'm used to seeing him do as much last year, like not in a bad way. Just like I'm just so used to him getting one of those like long ass touchdowns every few games, it seems like. And that kind of changed. And maybe not so much, actually. I mean, just looking at like his past seasons, but I don't know. I don't watch the Ravens a lot, but I felt like it was always like kind of like maybe I just saw him in the highlights a lot because his last season was actually not too far off from his previous one. So maybe I'm thinking about someone. Maybe I'm thinking more of like when Marquise Brown was there all those years ago. I don't know.
Yeah, but to your points of talking about trying to get multiple pieces for a stud, like if you do, you do kind of see like in other leagues, and I'll try and pull this up and see if this is true, but I would imagine there's like I'm trying to think of maybe more shallow leagues, but anyways, like you see there's not as drastic of a drop off, especially when you start getting into like the top 7, like from like wide receiver, running back 7 to 20 and stuff like that. There's not a huge difference between those players. Obviously your top guys are your top guys and they're going to be awesome. But like just kind of looking at like Nico Collins versus Jalen Waddle or something, like it wasn't drastic. Obviously you want the production from Nico, but it wasn't this like huge what you would think of a guy that's wide receiver 7 versus wide receiver 24. You would think it would be a pretty significant difference. It's less than half a win above replacement. So but
and that chart, like the flatness of it too, like I don't know if it actually takes this into account or not, but in best ball it is much more true that if you have 3 guys that are 0.7 wins above replacement, like in theory that should be actually more valuable than the one guy that's 1.5 over replacement, especially if there's spike weeks involved. I guess it kind of depends on the profile of the player, but I feel like the Moneyball sort of approach actually makes more sense in best ball because
it does take into the account that, by the way, like the best ball settings, like here's a league. I forget what this is. This is maybe a start 10. And like you see like there's more like drastic of a cliff in this. Like, as you can see, like a McCaffrey was worth 2 versus in Pete's league with a little bit more depth. Well, the same as a 12-team start 10, but the best ball part of it devalues those higher end players a little bit. Obviously you still want those guys, but it devalues them a little bit, right? Or, even if I pull up our home league, I'm sure we're going to get potentially maybe guys over 2. Like, look at that. Like Christian McCaffrey was worth 2.61 in that league because it's a 10-team start 10. So it's shallower and running backs are way better in that league. So 2.61 McCaffrey was same stats and everything, but the league, in a shallower league, it's going to value those higher end players a lot more versus a deeper best ball league where you add in that best ball aspect to it. Still really good, but nowhere near as valuable as in that other league. So I think going back to trading your tight ends, I don't really want to trade McBride, but yes, I would listen to, like, if I'm going to need 3 legit starters for McBride, that's kind of how I'm going to view it. Like, I don't want 2. I mean, maybe 2 in like a top tier pick or something. But I want in some way, whether it's through picks or players, I want like 3 legit starters for McBride. But we don't even have to talk about McBride. I think the one tight end 2 trade is Gadsden because he has a lot of value. He could be kind of peak value. He might even have more value now with McDaniel coming there. I mean, I would assume he does, as we've seen kind of the last couple of years, two like tweener receiving tight ends be very productive for Miami, and Jonnu Smith and then Darren Waller. And now we have Gadsden, and linking up with McDaniel. So he'd be the one I'd be targeting to trade, because I don't think you're going to get proper value for Hawkinson and what Hawkinson can still be. Same with Ferguson, Gunnar Helm. I think he could be very interesting next year. So none of these guys are going to give you the return that I think they potentially should be worth. I think Gadsden's the one to be looking at here. So that would be the guy I start with. We can get into maybe potential teams to trade with there as well, but that he'd be 100% the guy I'd be looking at. Is there someone else that I'm missing there, Brian, or you think that's kind of fair, the one tight end for him to trade?
Yeah. I mean, I think he's the most realistic one. Like, he's still tight end 9 on keep trade cut, and there's definitely some guys after him I wouldn't mind going down to, or just trading him. Probably easier to trade him straight up for a receiver. It does get a little scary because he's probably the most likely. I mean, I guess I could see Terrence Ferguson or Hawkinson equally as like getting a second tight end into your lineup on a given week.
Yeah, probably. I would say, but like you said, I can see Hawkinson bouncing back a little bit. I can see Ferguson taking a step up. I can see Gunnar Helm taking a step up. Even guys like Noah Fant. Noah Fant's going to have a game. Hell, like I said, even Elijah Higgins. Like, you just need one of these guys to kind of go off, right? Even Elijah Higgins went off in one game. Like, Greg Dulcich could have a role. Even Mitchell Evans, I don't mind. He was on the deep stash video because it's like, what does Carolina have at the tight end spot? So yeah, definitely looking at Gadsden though, to be the one there, because he does only have to start one tight end, right? Yeah, he does only have to start one tight end, which is, obviously you can start more. You can start up to I didn't even realize this was so we have a wide receiver running back flex spot. So there's only two wide receiver running back tight end flex spots. But you could start up to 5, theoretically, 5 tight ends. But yeah, I think the fact that you have 3 wide receiver spots, plus that wide receiver running back flex, which in this league, you're going to want that to be a wide receiver for the most part. Yeah. And what we can start looking, Pete, at maybe some players to target here in just a second. You also mentioned the 108. Like, you have the 108 and kind of what to do there, and you're kind of planning ahead. Now, another wrinkle to this league is Pete's going to be drafting maybe as soon as early March. So, he's going to be. Is that right, Pete, or do you guys not know yet? Because early March is even before free agency, which makes it even harder to kind of predict. Like, at least if the Saints don't go and sign a running back, then they could draft Jeremiah Love or something, or if I don't know. So, so for the 108, I mean, what we're looking at pre-NFL draft, I think you're very likely you're going to have, obviously, Jeremiah Love and Mendoza off the board. Obviously, if one of those guys fall there. And then there's going to be 3 wide receivers, most likely, that are going to go, which is Lemon, Tate, and Tyson. So those guys are gone. And then, there's a tight end premium, so probably Kenyon Sadiq. I mean, he could be there at the 108 potentially. Like, this is where I think it starts coming into play. I think those 5 players are going to be gone. And now what's going to come into play is Kenyon Sadiq. There's a couple other receivers that can go in the first round in Boston and Concepcion as of right now, Casey Concepcion. And then, throw in the fact that there could be, what if a running back gets a good landing spot, like a second round landing spot to like Minnesota or something. plus maybe Ty Simpson, a quarterback. So I think you're pretty good at the 108 there, Pete. Like, I wouldn't stress too much. I don't think your team's in a spot where like you desperately need a wide receiver and nothing else. I think you can kind of add to any position group that you wanted to with tight end coming in last, but like it's not the worst thing either. Like you can add a running back, you can add a quarterback, you can add a wide receiver. So I don't necessarily want to like trade too much to move up to like secure one of those top 3 guys. But I mean, if you wanted to, like that's where Gadsden could come into play there as well, like moving him as like a trade chip to move up. I'd probably want to get into like the top 4 if I did that. Maybe top 5, but moving up from the 108 to the 105 and giving up Gadsden, like I think that's a little bit too much. Unless you feel like you can kind of flip that for even more. But in terms of trading back, it's tough because it is in March, but I would feel comfortable trading back to the 110, and I wouldn't feel comfortable after that. So that's as far back I think I would want to go there. So that's kind of what I think you're actually in a pretty good spot with the 108 though, because like I feel like it's kind of either in the middle or the end of like after those top 5 players are gone type of tier. So yeah, I think again those 2 receivers in Boston Concepcion and Kenyon Sadiq, I think those 3 guys are probably locked to be like 6, 7, 8. Not locked to be 6, 7, 8, but like in that range. And then it really comes down to like where does Ty Simpson go? Jonah Coleman, Jadarian Price. Like those are the other names. So that's 6 guys right there. So that pushes you to the 111. So yeah, I would feel comfortable moving back to the 110 potentially. So and then Drake May, the only other thing I want to talk about before we maybe get into specific players, I think Drake May is a tear down option as well. Like if you can, again, like Brian said, are people kind of wise to best ball and like that having, multiple pieces is sometimes better than having just one stud, having like three wide receiver 2s, mid wide receiver 2s is maybe better than like the wide receiver 5 in a best ball league, depending on who you get, of course. Because if not, like, can you pull off getting 2 quarterbacks for Drake May? I mean, you did it in our listener league with Jaden Daniels, with you, right, Brian?
Yeah, to me.
Yeah. So, like, I wouldn't mind trading Drake May for, like, a couple quarterbacks. Like, can you get – what's up?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was like, wait, yeah, Pete got the 2 quarterbacks. Yeah.
Yeah, like Love and someone else, right?
Ward.
But yeah, can you trade back? Like, would you take like Hurts and Lawrence for May? Is that even possible? Is that too much? Or I mean, we can't I guess we'd have to actually look at someone who's stacked, but like it might not be feasible.
I just started looking through the because you got one team that's kind of at the top he's at the top quarterback rank wise. You always got to really look at these because sometimes you just don't agree, because he's got Daniels, Burrow, Love, Bryce Young, and then not a whole lot after that. So he's got 4. So, well, I don't know. I don't know which of those 2 you could get for Drake May. Yeah, it would have to be like I don't know if you can quite get Burrow and Jordan Love for Drake May.
Yeah. What about the team right below him, the New York Kicks? He has Herbert, Mahomes, Purdy, Dak. Like, can you get Herbert or Mahomes and one of those other guys? Like, and you can let us know if this is possible, Pete. Something I would explore. I mean, it doesn't even have to be 2 quarterbacks. It could be 2 starters. I would want to get a quarterback in return because you don't necessarily have the depth to just be trading away a quarterback and not getting one back. You could, like, for a year, but it's very risky. So, yeah, like, I would be looking at Drake May though, because people are taking him at the 101 in Dynasty startups. Like people are super excited about May, and you won't find a bigger May fan than me out there. But like, I do have to acknowledge that like May is not a rushing quarterback. I don't consider him a rushing quarterback. Can he run and get you 60 yards in a game? Yes, but those are always going to be. They're very hard to just maintain that. Joe Burrow was up there, I don't know, like QB1, and he's fallen. Herbert was up there. Mahomes was up there. I'm sure like Stroud was kind of near the top there. Like all these guys, but not saying May can improve or anything or repeat, but I just like I would like to diversify him a little bit. So I would be exploring that a little bit, particularly with those two teams that, the trust the process, Call of Duty, and the New York Kicks. They seem to be kind of, the Call of Duty. I don't know. Did he really only win one game? Yeah, I guess so.
Pete, let us know where you think, so you saw this league actually play out over its first year. Let us know where you think, do you think you finishing third overall, was it a little, were you not really expecting it, or were you totally like, oh, my team should be better than this? I'm just kind of interested to hear your honest opinion about your team. Because just looking at some of the, they have the contender tier category here, right? And it's oh, these guys are contenders and these ones aren't, more or less. I'm wondering how you actually feel about that. Obviously, they have 6 teams that are considered contenders, and then the next 3 they call them frisky, but they're basically fringe, making the playoffs kind of teams. But the reason I asked that is because I'm just trying to think about how your season actually played out, as far as making it to the playoffs. You were only 8-7, and this is pretty typical for a first year startup. You have a lot of teams that are basically 6-9. The majority of the league is 6-9, 7-8, or 8-7, right? And then you had a few that kind of squeaked out a few more run, and it seemed like everyone was beating up on Call of Duty.
Yeah.
So maybe he just kind of had a bad year, but I'm just trying to think about how your season actually played out. Jacoby Brissett definitely helped you on the back half when he became the starter, and that kind of filled in for Daniel Jones, right? So it's those, that was basically your QB2, is those 2 guys put together.
And I'm sure Ward was getting in there near the end. He was playing well as well. Because you can start 3. Gainwell.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you look at his running back room, it was all right, so you had a nice sprinkling of basically Kenneth Gainwell, especially towards the end, but it was a nice sprinkling of him and Jaylen Warren throughout the season as your 2 running backs, in addition to McCaffrey. I don't really remember Aaron Jones's season. I know he missed a bit. So he was probably getting in there as well. So he says his honest opinion is he needed more ceiling. I'm just trying to think maybe it's not. I mean, you might want to just let it play for a little bit, but I'm kind of thinking you might want to just try and rebuild your team slightly, just a slight rebuild kind of a situation. Maybe get rid of some of your high end but older players and just flip them for some assets. But I don't know, Mike, what are you thinking? Do you think this team is a contender next year?
So let's say Jacoby Brissett's the starter for Arizona, right? You get in May, Ward. I'm just trying to think what his roster ideally would be, right? Let's just say May, Ward, Brissett. So it's 3 of the 12. McCaffrey, Warren, We'll throw those two guys in there. Jefferson, Flowers, Adams, Myers, McBride, Gadsden, and maybe another tight end there. So if it all works like perfectly, right? Like Warren is still, the guy in Pittsburgh, or at least, kind of what he did this year, and Brissett starts and Justin Jefferson returns. I could see a playoff team, and then anything can happen. Plus, you're going to add a piece at the 108 there that can help you. Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I'm always going to be open. Like McCaffrey, like obviously can just he's a cheat code, and he was the second or third most valuable player on this team. I mean that's a big reason why he won, right? Because he had the second and third most valuable players in the entire league on his team. But I wouldn't mind shopping him potentially, and that doesn't even mean you don't have to contend next year. Like Butker looks like he needs running. It says he needs running backs, but I mean he has Cook, Hall, and Kyron. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I mean, without looking at everyone else's team, that's a pretty good 1, 2, 3 there. I'm just looking at the teams that are considered contenders. I mean, maybe the New England Patriot Matt could use someone here. So I think you can really take advantage. It goes back to what we were saying. If people don't value, if they don't understand that, hey, maybe 3 RB15s are better than RB3, most likely they are, then I would shop around McCaffrey too. Yeah, I don't mind that. I mean, I don't know if you're going to get really anything for whoever. It's Adams and McCaffrey, right? Those are the old guys that you're looking at.
Yeah, them two. And then honestly, Jacoby Myers, I wouldn't mind holding him because he probably isn't going to get you a whole lot. And I think he's he's been one of the most underrated players over how many seasons, even I felt like even when he was on the Patriots, he wasn't terrible. I mean, he wasn't great, but he's basically a starter, especially in a format like this where you don't actually have to pick him. Seems to have nice chemistry with Trevor, so that's nice. So, but I mean, he'd be another one I'd be considering trading. And if you get any of these other guys that are kind of like Jacoby Brissett wouldn't be a bad trade candidate if he was named the starter and you weren't going for anything this year. You have a nice young set of quarterbacks with Drake May and Cam Ward, so
also looking at the teams that are kind of ranked ahead of you, they all kind of don't have great quarterback rooms, 6, 10, 4, and 8, according to the website here. So yeah, I mean, if Brissett's I would wait until Brissett's announced the starter. I mean, he might not be, which is the risk, but I think I would wait until he's potentially announced the starter or something to trade him. But yeah, I mean, he could be someone. I don't mind going either way with this team. And I'm always going to look and again, I think it's a narrow-minded view that people have in Dynasty. It's I want to compete. I can never trade away players that can help me next year, like a McCaffrey. And I just don't agree with that at all. If you can get really good value for him and you can still compete. If you get players in return, especially in best ball, and a pick for 27 or something, then you can still compete. So I know the deal for a hard rebuild, but if I end up soft rebuilding, do I need to be selling CMC and Adams? I mean, it could be one of those leagues where you kind of just let it play out a little bit. Also, how many playoff teams make this in this 10 team? Is it 4 or 5 or 6? Curious there too, because if it's 6, then you definitely I would let it play out maybe the first month or so. There's no need to trade these guys because you're not in a hard rebuild. And you might not, you might be getting 14 playoff. Okay. And you might be getting, I don't think you might be able to get more from McCaffrey in October than you can in February, right? That you probably will. So
Yeah, you probably should. Like,
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, those are guys that you definitely don't need to be selling. Um, it's very likely, or sorry, not very likely. It's completely like it could be their last year, right? And we're gonna say that until like they basically retire. I mean, Devontae, how old is he? He's up
it's going to
there.
be 33 or something.
Yeah, and honestly, like he made a lot of his hay with touchdowns this year. I almost said this semester. I feel like I'm already back at work, and it's fucking Saturday. And that's not a bad thing, right? Because in half PPR, like those touchdowns are so valuable, right? I mean, that's literally 12 catches. This is half, right? I did read that correctly.
Full PPR.
What's 0.5 WRP?
That's the wide receiver, like a premium almost. Wide receivers are getting 1.5.
Oh, well, never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Running backs are getting, running backs and quarterbacks are getting 1, receivers 1.5, tight ends 2.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that makes the war like make a lot more sense too. I thought I was missing something there. I meant to ask you about that.
Yeah, I think Pete, I think that's a fine strategy. Like keep it open. And like don't force a trade of those guys. If you feel like you get a fair trade for them, then go for it. Even if you want to play it out, because that might be the right move to make. Like if you want to play it out though, and like just try and get starters in return for these guys too. I don't know how much luck you're going to have honestly with Adams. Obviously not now, but we need to know what Stafford's doing. That's one, which we should know by the end of February or maybe just in a couple weeks. But I also don't feel like you're going to get quite a lot because people are going to look at that 33-year-old age and they're going to they're just not going to believe it. So, but McCaffrey is the one you could potentially do. So,
yeah, it's really funny too because Devontae in half PPR he was wide receiver 8. I have the wrong league pulled up. I was gonna say I wonder what he finished in full PPR.
We can see where he was on the ward tool here. Let's see here. Devontae Adams was wide receiver 7 in this league in terms of wins above replacement. So
yeah. Again, touchdowns, they matter so much, right? And it's so nice. Like touchdown magnets like him are just gold in best ball because that means he's basically making your lineup every week.
Yeah.
A guy that I would think about going after, and I feel like I don't know, maybe it's not possible at this point, but it's AJ Brown. I was kind of looking at the team that he's on. It's the team that basically, I don't know if he actually finished second, but he had the second best record. It's Make a Young Way Cool.
Young Way Cool.
Yeah. That guy's going to be in trouble next year too. And sometimes you need to like kind of push people in that direction, where it's like, hey, like, I mean, he has Sam Darnold, Kyler, Kirk Cousins, Will Levis. It's like he could end up with 3 if Cousins goes somewhere to start or at least compete for a job, but we don't know. Like you can't count on that. That's a long shot. Kyler obviously has a way better chance of starting somewhere, but that's not even a given. So he's going to be hurting quarterback wise. He's got a few nice young running backs with Bucky and Genty, and even like in like Ken Walker and stuff. He's not overly old. I know he's we don't know what his situation's going to be, but I thought he was not as old as he seems for as long as he's been in the league. Yeah, so only 25.
Yeah,
and he's got young receivers too.
Yeah.
With Chase, Pickens, Rice, Harrison, not like the youngest, but decently young. So AJ Brown kind of stands out on his team. Like I would trade your 108 straight up for him if you could.
Yeah, absolutely. Says he sold AJ Brown for Flowers. Yeah, I mean, it worked out this year. Flowers is better than Brown, at least in total points. I don't know where they finished in points per game. I wanted to circle back real quick because he mentioned when we were talking about May, he did mention that Drew liked him and was making offers. So that's Call of Judy. Like how you guys have everyone's names in the team names. Actually, makes a lot of sense to do that. So yeah, I mean, again, I doubt you could get like a Burrow Love tear down. I wouldn't do that for Love and Bryce Young. But can you get Burrow in a piece for May? Can you get probably not, but can you get Love in something for May? Like, can you get Love in one of these receivers? I would do it for one of those. Would you do it for one of those top 3 receivers in Tetaroa, Ladd, or BTJ? I know BTJ is kind of a risk there, but
yeah, I mean, highest ceiling out of those 3, right? But given the 1.5 PPR, like, I don't know, I kind of probably feel the best about Laddie, just given quarterback play, and I don't anticipate Keenan Allen being there.
I hope he comes back. Nah, I don't know. I just like Keenan Allen. Plus, he needs to come back and get. Actually, no, he kind of reached all the numbers he's probably going to reach. So, yeah, it's a risk, but like, yeah, can you go down to Love, pick up a piece, and maybe even like move up in the draft? Like, it depends on how much he likes him, right?
Well, that guy's got the 101, it seems like, but he does have another first rounder.
Yeah,
he's got to have the 101
via Sean. Who's Sean? Sean was maybe the winner of the league. Okay. Yeah, like if he really likes him, yeah, can you go back to May or go back from May to Love? I think May to Love, you can make the argument, is a big enough drop off to where you should be probably getting like a couple pieces, one like stud piece in return, or a couple pieces. Like I would do May to Love and Hampton. I would make that trade because I think Hampton could be a top 5 running back. But like May to Love and getting Tetaroa, it could work out. I'd be a little bit scared. I'd kind of want something else. Can I get like the 201 or something?
Well, here's another thing to consider too. He basically doesn't have a tight end. He's got Mason Taylor.
Okay.
So May and Gadsden? Are you throwing Gadsden in there to like really? I don't know. Maybe you don't have to go all the way down to Love. Maybe you can get Burrow. Like target him. Although we did notice in the is it 30 yards per point per passing, and is it 6 points per passing touchdown? Sorry, Mike, you were looking at that earlier, and I didn't quite.
Yeah, 0.03 for passing yards. So that is 1 for every 30, right, Pete?
And is it 6 point? Since you got it,
and it's right 5 point.
This is crazy. But yeah, so maybe Burrow is not a bad target. Like if you're going down from May to Burrow, you're throwing in Gadsden. Like, maybe you can get Hampton plus maybe one of these receivers too. I don't know. Maybe that's not quite enough.
I think that would be if you got Love, Hampton, and one of the receivers. I think I would do that trade for sure.
No, sorry, maybe it's not enough to actually get that.
Oh, okay, yeah,
like it's not enough from on your end, but you can kind of, I don't know, like maybe you can make something like that work.
Yeah, because I don't think the fall. Honestly, I would have Burrow and May in the same tier. So.
And you have Jaden.
I'm kind of seeing. Yes.
Yeah. So
just because I
could
know
be
what
another.
Jaden could do on the ground.
Yeah, and that could be another thing to explore too, Pete. Like, see where he's at, like as far as valuation on Jaden and Joe Burrow. Obviously, like during the season was a different story, but a lot of people were kind of like, oh no, like RG3 all over again, and like people are kind of like getting nervous about Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe you don't have to go that far. Maybe you're even kind of like sneakily tearing sideways or even up.
And let me go back on what I did say when I said I have May and Burrow in the same tier. That's more in terms of like what I think their production's going to be over the next several years.
Right.
Right now, May has more value, so you do have to take that into account. Like that May has more like of that perceived value, which matters.
Yeah, and that's what
and
you're
he still
trying
has
to
a game.
capitalize on.
Yeah, he still has a game to go. Like he could even get more value if he wins the Super Bowl, if he looks awesome in the Super Bowl. But yeah, I do like the idea of packaging May and Gadsden targeting Drew because he likes May. He has a couple quarterbacks that I have either ahead in terms of where they could be in fantasy points or kind of neck and neck. So if I'm doing a lateral move or even, in my opinion, a tier up, like I don't know about a tier up, but like a slightly better value in Jaden Daniels, and then getting like a Hampton, and all basically, to me, I'm kind of trading like Gadsden for Hampton, like easily. Even Gadsden for like even for one of those receivers, I think I would do it. Again, depends on what you think about BTJ. If you're not super excited about him, then don't go for it. Target Tetaroa or Lad. So, you can maybe get his pick as well. It seems like Sean, made the playoffs. You're at the 108, right? So, Sean's either like the 107 or the 109 or 110, right? So, you can let us know where he's at there. So even if you can get his pick there, because I still think that the 110 is going to be pretty good. And also play around with the idea of, I talked about trading back to the 110, and I forgot it was a 10-team league, so you can't go further than the 110. Play around with the idea, or even the 201 of trading back from the 108. The 201 is essentially the 111 to the 110. See if you can pick up like a Jaden Higgins or I don't know what else to be honest, but even a Mason Taylor. I know you have quarterback tight ends. By the way, I don't mind like if you can't get the May one done, like I don't mind tearing down to Mason Taylor from Gadsden and getting something on top, like depending if he really likes Gadsden or something. So what other teams are there that we can?
I was just looking at I don't know what the inflection is here. The new Eng Patriot. Like I don't know what the inflection is there because they have like the Pat. It's the New England Patriots team.
Yeah,
but they have like PAT capitalized and hyphenated. So I don't know how to put the inflex on the right syllable. You know what I'm saying? But he's got older receivers, in Mike Evans and Cortland Sutton that are probably decent targets. Like in a best ball situation, just because they are kind of like, touchdown guys. Like I know Sutton kind of had a little bit of an issue for part of the year, but how many did he end up with this year? So he still got 7. So I feel like even in what seemed to be kind of like a little bit of a down year, like that was good. And obviously Evans aging, but I feel like those are good guys to target. If you get 4 weeks in and you are winning, and I tried to sell Cortland Sutton for a 2nd round pick, not this last year, but 2 years ago and the year before that, just to contending teams. I just wanted him off my roster because I thought I was rebuilding, and he ended up being part of my championship team for this year. So his perceived value, it just keeps going down. But I think the way he actually plays is much more valuable in general, especially if you don't have to decide when to start him, you know?
Yeah, that definitely helps. I know there is some kind of like potential rumors, like if he's going to be on the Broncos, because they actually no, next year they can get out of his contract. Yeah, it's next year they can get out. He said Sean missed the playoffs. That confused me a little bit because it shows everyone with 15. So I guess does this go to week 15 and then you have 16 and 17? That could make sense with just 4 teams in the playoffs. And how did Sean miss the playoffs, but you made it? And he had two games better. Do you have divisions or something? Maybe is that
or
it?
Maybe it's just overall points determined.
Curious there. Let us know their peak because that could also change.
Points, not wins.
Got it. Okay.
Well, that changes everything. No.
Yeah, not too much, but yeah. So I had something else. Before I do forget, there are some quarterbacks on the waiver wire I wouldn't mind stashing, like Russell Wilson. I know that seems kind of crazy, but we were talking about it. Like, again, there was 8 or 9 teams that need a quarterback. There might be only one that's going to fill that in the draft. And so, like, someone like a Russell Wilson wouldn't shock me if he's starting for even just a month next year, and that can help, especially in best ball, can help you get a win easily. So he was one that I saw that I would be picking up personally. I mean, if you want to, like, guys like Minshew and Pickett, sure, but Russell Wilson, I think, has a legit chance to either be a bridge quarterback for like a month or even start for a bit longer, considering all the teams that need quarterbacks. And there's like one, maybe 2 quarterbacks coming out that could. I think there's only one that's going to start from week 1 in Mendoza and maybe Ty Simpson. So, not really a whole lot else there on the waiver wire I'm super into. A guy like Savion Williams could be a nice best ball player. Didn't show it last year, but he could be like a big play type of guy if they ever want to use him that way.
I do remember seeing Christian Watson and Quentin Johnston on the same team, I think. Because those are, when I hear best ball, I kind of think of both of those guys like right away. Just because like that big touchdown playability, you know, that not that you necessarily like obviously we saw Quentin Johnston be a little bit of a different animal early in the season this last year, but then he kind of went back to like what he was. Really hard to know when to start guys like that, but you know, we talk about it every week where we're like, yeah, like I feel like you're starting them, you know, and I feel like maybe his value came back to earth. Like he's not the 4 seconds, the 4 first round picks that he was worth after week 3 or something. Was it Garlic Bread that was always like, yeah, he's my dude?
Who, Quentin Johnston?
Yeah.
No, that was Down with Fun.
Down with Fun. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, I guess it only works as a joke if I actually know who the fuck I'm talking about. But yeah, I mean, those guys are very, very interesting to me anyways. And I kind of wonder if they're guys that you can target. They're on Butker's team. Jesus. And he's a little light at tight end also. He's got Kyle Pitts. Jawan Johnson actually worked out for him this year. But I wonder if you can go after a couple of those guys. Like, Mike, do you think, like, given that it's best ball and like, would you trade your 108 for Christian Watson and Quentin Johnston together, or is that not enough for the 108?
I don't think I would. I don't know. It's more just like, what is Quentin Johnston, I guess, is the big thing. I know he's talking best ball and everything. And yeah, I don't think I would. I think I would just hold it. But I don't think it's that far off in best ball.
Yeah.
I mean, what were those guys like valued at this year? Let's see here.
Too bad there's no way to like search on there.
I think you can actually like here.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Johnston 0.49 and Watson 0.41. So almost like a full point, which is essentially what like James Cook, Jalen Hurts was worth, Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott. Yeah, I guess you can make the argument. Obviously, WAR is not predictive, which is where my hesitation comes from. Like, if I could go back in the future, I think I would do it. But we got to have Quentin Johnston kind of repeat what he did, right? I'm not so worried about Watson doing it.
I don't know if you really do, because like his stat line last year actually played out almost exactly like his stats from the previous year. Just over 700 yards. He only had 24 more yards total in the exact same number of touchdowns, 4 less catches as the previous year. So it was just very concentrated.
He also played less games, though.
2 games less. No, only 1 game less.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were talking about his rookie year as well.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he basically had 5 more yards and then 0.15 of a touchdown or something, or maybe not even that.
Like his pace, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like if you're replacing, 2 guys that are basically never going to get a start on your bench, then it could be a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, without naming specific players, but those are kind of like, what you should be thinking about in this type of league. Because of 1, there's a decent amount of depth, and 2, it's best ball. So, it's not that far off, whether, maybe you don't like Quentin Johnston or whatever, that's fine. You don't have to trade for him, but getting like those range of players can actually do a lot more for your team than you would think in a best ball. Because again, like you just want really, again, and you can tell us, Pete, if you feel like people are playing it this way, but do people value, like, are you seeing trades where like top end players are getting diversified into multiple players and stuff? Like if you aren't, then maybe start taking advantage of that and see how it and see how that goes. So
what do you think? So I'm looking at another team. Sorry, I know like the specifics. I just like thinking about this stuff sometimes.
No, it's fine. You're better at it than I am. So
what about an Alec Pierce type player? The guy's got Tyreek Hill too. So, I mean, that opens up a whole nother discussion, right? Like, we don't know where he's going to be. We don't even know that he's going to play. But
which team is it?
London Silly Nannies.
So, you're saying for the 108, Pierce and Hill?
Yeah, I feel like you'd have to get something back, just given we don't know who Alec Pierce's quarterback's going to be to start the year, or maybe even at all. And Tyreek.
See, I'd feel more comfortable with that than I think the other one, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Even without knowing the quarterback, but because what if Pierce goes to Buffalo and Tyreek goes back to the Chiefs? Like, there's also that side of it too, right? Like, you're getting ahead of it, and you're like, oh, now those guys, like, maybe Tyreek's worth the 108 or something by himself. But I just think that those caliber of play, I think Hill can still have a huge season, and I think Pierce is he is like Mr. Best Ball, right? And this year he was even Mr. Lineup League this year. but in deeper leagues. But he is Mr. Best Ball, and I don't think that's really going to change, to be honest. So I feel more comfortable with that one than Watson and Johnston personally. But I see the argument. Not a lot of trades went down. Hard to judge the league mindset. Okay. Yeah. And again, it's hard to make trades in general. And I think the way to do it is to kind of take advantage of that, multiple pieces are more valuable than one. And so trying to take advantage of that a little bit. By the way, Rocky, what's up? How's it going?
I feel like if you're gonna make that trade, specifically the Alec Pierce and Tyreek for the 108, I feel like you might as well just throw in your third and try and get one more guy that has potential. Like, he does have Troy Franklin and Pat Bryant on this roster also. Maybe try and get one of those guys just as kind of like, I mean, I got to imagine Troy Franklin was starting during a few weeks. Yeah, definitely. Like kind of around the middle of the season. And maybe that won't play out that way, but if you're replacing another bench player who basically has no chance with a guy like that, that's the whole Moneyball best ball mindset, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Your third round pick is definitely worth 2 games starting, basically, because what's the likelihood that your third round pick's going to do that?
Also, maybe Pete, did you say?
Sorry,
that's fine. Did you say who won in this league, Pete? I'm just curious to look at their roster and see if it kind of plays into to what we're preaching here a little bit. Was it Bucker or you said Sean didn't make it, so I don't know who else. Everyone's kind of those top 6 teams, or I guess about 8 of them are all kind of jumbled together there. So yeah, who won? Brandon won. No worries, Pete. Obviously, this will be on as well. We'll be ending it here soon, but you can listen to the last 5-10 minutes when you can. Okay, so Brandon won. So it is Bucker.
See you later, Pete. Thanks for donating.
Yeah, and he's going to have another one later on. So
nice.
Okay, so Bucker, I mean, obviously had Josh Allen. He had good depth here in Cook. Cook and Kyron. Was anyone else kind of jumping into his lineup there? Not really, huh?
Maybe Connor for those few games.
Yeah.
Yeah, not really.
More on the road. I mean, Puka and Josh Allen, obviously, and Pitts and
Drake
Johnson.
London. Waddle Watson and Johnston. Johnston in the beginning, Watson late. Yeah, so maybe those guys will actually be a little harder to acquire from him. Just given that.
Guys like Marvin Mims. I'm just trying to see who had pop games
Kendrick Bourne. Didn't he have a couple?
Tesla. Yeah, Bourne had a couple there in October, November.
I still get Kendrick Bourne confused with the guy that's still on the Patriots. Booty? Yeah. Booty. Just because they were on the same team and their last names 2 letters apart from each other, basically.
Yeah. Sorry, 1 second. Yeah, so I mean, not a whole lot of depth on this team, to be honest, but also it just started last year, so that's kind of to be expected, I would say. I really, really think the team that's going to have the depth, they're going to have 6 receivers and 4 or 5 running backs and 3 consistent quarterbacks and however many tight ends. I think they're gonna win more often than not. You can never predict. Yeah, I just saw a sleeper commercial on the UFC pay-per-view, or it's not pay-per-view anymore. It's on Paramount Plus now, but I had never seen a sleeper commercial. That's kind of crazy. They're getting big. Yeah, so a team that has that depth, I think more often than not is going to win. And also best ball takes a lot of that, like not a lot, but it takes a decent amount of the luck out of it too, the head-to-head luck. Yeah. So anything else? So basically, Pete, to kind of wrap it up, what we're looking at here is, selling Gadsden either straight up for a receiver or tearing down from him, I think is the tight end to trade. Down tiering from Drake May, I think it can really help you. Just like add, if you're getting still a really good quarterback and you're adding another piece or two, I think that's really going to help you. Explore McCaffrey, Devontae Adams if someone's going to pay the fair price for you. And I think you're fine at the 108. I wouldn't mind, trading back to the 110 potentially. I also wouldn't mind trading up a couple spots if you wanted to like really secure a spot there. But I think the 108 you're looking okay. You also asked what to do with these other picks. I would, if I can get 27 picks for these 26 picks, a 27 third for the 308, a 27 fourth for the 408. Do it, because I do think the 27 class is going to be a lot deeper. So, yeah. If anyone else has questions, I mean, we can chat for 5 more minutes maybe, or we'll take off. But we had, double-digit people watching. If you guys are interested in a team review like that, you can see we go pretty in depth into it all. I like to think it's definitely worth. It's $20 for a review or 30 for 2, so I think it's worth that. Personally, I mean, for how much we go into it and stuff, and obviously you kind of, if you're in our Discord, you can always, Pete's going to ask us, hey, should I make this trade based off what we talked about, and we can, the review extends beyond just like this hour that we talk, so.
And it gives us more context for your league also, where it's like, oh yeah, I do remember talking about that, because sometimes it's hard to know, like in a vacuum, like, oh, should I make this trade for this player? And it's like, well, I don't even know like the makeup of your team and what everyone else is looking like, so it helps it stick out a little more. Marv was really good about that, like coming back to us about that same set of trades, and like in that same league where he's like, I'm thinking about this, like, every week. So it was helpful, because it's like we got to know the kind of like the attitude of the league in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want to also kind of like make like record this on like a document or something to send to people as well, just to like, this is kind of a review of what we said. But it was a fun league. I really like looking at those. It's just what makes Dynasty so much fun. It's just how different the leagues are, we're probably going to take off. We'll be back again, I guess, Wednesday evening, and then next Saturday morning. And then we have the Super Bowl, and then we'll start going live Sunday evenings, at least, me, maybe both of us. We'll start doing rookie mocks with everyone, because again, Sleeper has added rookies into the database, so we can start using Sleeper, and we can do rookie mocks probably every single week, like with you guys. So really, it's really helpful when there's a full 12 people. We'll be doing some Dynasty startups as well, and like mock drafts and real ones. So, yeah. Anything else we're missing?
No, that's it.
No football this weekend, unfortunately. But maybe it's a nice break. So we got the Super Bowl coming up. We'll talk about that on Saturday, and anyways, appreciate everyone. And we will see you all on Wednesday. Have a good rest of your weekend.